Have you ever wondered why certain colors make you feel a certain way? Why blue calms you? Why red ignites something inside you? Why gold feels divine? What if every color you see isn't just light bouncing off surfaces but a code, a signal, a message from somewhere far beyond your current understanding? Look around. The world is drenched in color, but you weren't taught to see it for what it truly is. You were trained to label, to categorize. Red is red, green is green, blue is blue. But long before science told us that color is just a wavelength of light, the ancients knew better. They didn't just see color, they read it. They listened to it. They understood it as language. Every hue, every shade, is a vibration and echo of something higher, something speaking in silence. These are not just frequencies, they are frequencies with intent. When you stand before a sunset and feel something stir in your chest, that's not just beauty, it's contact. It's a moment of resonance between you and a source beyond the veil of this visible world. But what if I told you, the colors that surround you every single day are more than coincidence, that their presence is not random, that they're placed, positioned, and pulsing with purpose? We are living inside a spectrumone that stretches far beyond what the human eye can detect. But the sliver we can see, it holds secrets. If you're willing to look deeper, if you're ready to unlearn what you've been told, then follow me. Because what you're about to realize will change the way you see everything. Color is the alphabet of the unseen. You've been trained to use words to describe reality. But the universe doesn't speak in words, it speaks in vibration, frequency, tone. And color is the visible spectrum of that frequency. It is the only part of the cosmic language that your eyes can interpret directly. But that doesn't mean you've truly been seeing it. Think about this. Bees see ultraviolet, snakes see infrared. The human eye is tuned to a narrow band of frequencies, only a small slice of the full spectrum. But within that slice, messages are being broadcast constantly, not through images or speech, but through energetic symbolism. Color is energy made visible, and energy, as the ancients taught, carries intention. Ancient civilizations like the Egyptians didn't just paint with color, they embedded messages into their pigments. Blue wasn't just a preference, it was the frequency of the divine. Gold wasn't just wealth, it was the resonance of eternity. Red wasn't aggression, it was vitality, life force, rootedness. Each color was aligned to a principle, a realm, an energy. Nothing was decorative, everything was coded. Temples weren't just built, they were tuned. Color placement aligned with planetary forces, elemental correspondences, and stages of consciousness. The walls of those ancient spaces didn't just reflect light, they radiated awareness. And those who walked through them, initiates, seekers, builders, felt the shift in their own internal frequency. You can too, but only if you stop seeing color as surface and begin seeing it as signal. The colors around you are speaking to your subconscious, to your nervous system, to your soul. And when you learn to listen, truly listen, you'll begin to realize you're not observing reality. You're inside a message being transmitted from the source itself. We often assume vision is a passive act, that we open our eyes and simply receive the world. But vision is participation. It is interaction. When light enters your eyes, it's not just bouncing off the surface of things, it's interacting with your very being. It triggers emotion, memory, biological response. It affects your chemistry. Why? Because color is not passive, it's alive. And it's in constant conversation with your consciousness. You were born into a world designed to dull your perception. Saturated advertisements, harsh fluorescent lighting, screens pulsing with artificial hues. These are distortions, noise, static. They don't speak the ancient language, they override it. They scramble the code. And over time, your sensitivity fades. You stop seeing the message. You stop feeling the current. But that sensitivity, it's not gone. It's dormant. And it can be reawakened. Have you ever noticed how being in nature changes your mood? How standing in a forest or watching waves under a shifting sky somehow resets your mind? It's not just because it's peaceful. It's because the colors of the natural world are in tune. The green of the leaves isn't just relaxing, it's recalibrating. The blue of the ocean doesn't just soothe, it opens something. Each of these frequencies is a transmission, a healing code, and your body recognizes it, even if your mind can't articulate it. Now consider this. If colors in the wild can restore you, what else might they be able to awaken? What if certain colors don't just influence mood but memory? What if colors trigger past lives, ancestral codes, soul contracts? What if a sudden flash of violet or gold in your dreams isn't imagination but contact? When you begin to see color not as effect but as message, you start to live differently. You begin to notice what colors surround you when you're afraid, which ones appear when you feel strong, which shades dominate when synchronicities multiply around you. These aren't coincidences, they're patterns. And once you see the pattern, you can decode the message. Throughout history, those who truly understood the power of color never used it carelessly. In sacred architecture, robes of initiation, paintings, and rituals, the palette was precise. It wasn't about style, it was about unlocking states of consciousness. Different colors opened different doors. Some grounded you, some lifted you. Others dissolved the boundaries of self entirely. In ancient temples, initiates would pass through chambers, each bathed in a specific hue, each one designed to shift their vibration, just enough to prepare them for the next revelation. A red chamber to ignite the life force, a green one to balance it, a deep indigo room to awaken intuition. These weren't decorative choices, they were keys. When used properly, color becomes a map, a ladder, a bridge between dimensions. You can still find fragments of this truth hidden in plain sight, in stained glass windows of forgotten cathedrals, in Tibetan mandalas, in the robes of shamans and saints, even in the geometric patterns of the natural world. They all speak the same visual language vibration through color. And then there's light itself. Pure white light holds all color within it. Every visible hue is a fragment of the whole, a splinter of source. When light passes through a prism, it reveals what was always there, separated, categorized, named. But light never divides itself. We do. So ask yourself, why are certain colors always linked to divine visions, mystical encounters, near-death experiences? Why do people who glimpse beyond the veil often speak of radiant blues, impossible golds, and shimmering purples that don't exist in the physical world? Because those colors are the threshold. They are the veil itself, expressing itself as light. And sometimes they open just long enough to let you see through. But only if you're ready, only if you've trained your inner eye to notice. You don't need to travel to a temple to begin this process. You are already in one. This world is the temple, and color is its liturgy. If you're starting to see what's been hidden in plain sight, subscribe and turn on the bell, because what's coming next will change how you see everything. Every moment you are surrounded by a symphony of unseen forces, and color is one of the few that breaks through the silence. But just like with sound, not all frequencies are neutral. Some uplift, others distort. Some open, others bind. The question is, are you choosing the colors around you, or are they choosing you? Most people don't realize they're constantly being influenced by color environments engineered for control. Corporate logos, urban lighting, social media interfaces, they aren't designed at random. They're coded with psychological triggers. Red to provoke urgency and action. Blue to simulate trust and calm. Yellow to hold your attention. The designers understand something you were never taught. That color speaks directly to the subconscious, bypassing logic. But what happens when you consciously reclaim that language? When you surround yourself with colors that align with your intention, your thoughts begin to shift. Your energy reorganizes. You don't just feel different, you start to attract different patterns into your life. People change, decisions become clearer, synchronicities increase. Why? Because you're now in tune. You've stopped broadcasting static and started vibrating in clarity. This isn't just theory. You can test it. Sit in a room filled with warm gold light and focus on your breath. Watch what rises. Now try the same in a room flooded with deep indigo or emerald green. You'll feel the shift immediately, because the environment isn't just affecting you, it's speaking to you. And when you align with it, you begin to hear what you were never meant to ignore. color is not something you observe, it's something you feel. And that feeling can be tracked, mapped, guided, if you're paying attention. And here's the secret. Once you know how to use color, you can shape the energy of a space, of a moment, of your own state of being. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're orchestrating your experience of it. That is power. That is creation. And it starts with seeing color for what it truly is: intelligent energy. There's a reason why mystics, prophets, and visionaries have always described their revelations in terms of color. They didn't return from altered states talking about logic or facts. They spoke of blinding light, oceans of color, luminous forms pulsing with hues beyond anything this world could offer. Because at higher levels of perception, thought becomes image, image becomes color, and color becomes experience. This is why sacred art across cultures glows with meaning, not just in what is depicted, but in how it's colored. Look closely at the halo around a saint, the aura painted around a deity. The robes of divine figures. The colors aren't random. They're chosen to induce recognition in the soul, to awaken memory. Not memory of this life, but of where you came from before this incarnation, and where you're returning. Violet, for instance, has always been associated with transmutational chemical change, spiritual death and rebirth. Not because someone decided it sounded mystical, but because violet carries the highest visible frequency. It stands closest to the threshold, to the opening where the visible meets the invisible. When you see violet in dreams or meditations, pay attention. Something is shifting. You're being invited. The same goes for gold. Not yellow, not beige, gold. That impossible, inner light gold that doesn't just shine, it radiates. When gold appears, it signals presence, divine witness. A frequency so pure, so coherent, that ego cannot survive in its light. Gold dissolves distortion. It doesn't scream, it reveals. Every person has a color signature, an energetic palette that reflects their internal architecture. And when you're in alignment with your purpose, those inner tones begin to harmonize with outer experiences. That's why certain people light up in certain environments, why someone suddenly feels at home in a place they've never been. It's color recognition at the soul level. You've felt it before. Maybe you walked into a space and instantly felt peace, clarity, resonance. Or maybe the opposite, you entered a room and your stomach tightened, your chest closed. Often we blame this on people or memories. But look again. What color dominated that moment? What wavelength were you walking into? You see, the architecture of your emotional body is directly wired to color. When people say they feel blue or see red, it's not just metaphor, it's a leftover instinct from a time when we were still fluent in the energetic language of existence. Children still understand it. Watch how they gravitate toward colors without explanation, how they use color to express what they can't yet say with words. They aren't choosing based on preference. They're responding to something deep and real. But over time, that instinct gets overwritten. Education, social conditioning, the dull palette of modern life, it all teaches you to ignore your reactions to color, to treat them as irrelevant. You're told that color is aesthetic, superficial, a matter of taste. But that lie keeps you disconnected from a powerful navigational tool, one that, if reclaimed, could realign your inner compass toward truth. And this truth isn't about just changing the colors in your home or wardrobe, though. Even that can create ripples. This is about decoding the spiritual feedback loop you're constantly immersed in. Every day, the universe is speaking to you through color. That blue car that caught your eye, that glowing orange sky you couldn't stop staring at, that unexpected flash of green in a stranger's outfit. These aren't accidents. They're whispers, nudges, coordinates. So how do you begin to listen? The first step is awareness. Start noticing how color moves through your day, where it shows up, what patterns emerge, which colors come in moments of clarity and which arrive when you're out of alignment. Don't try to analyze, just notice. Let the awareness build, slowly, naturally. Over time, a map will begin to form. And the second step? Intention. Begin to use color consciously. If you need clarity, bring more white or indigo into your space. If you're stuck in fear, surround yourself with grounding reds or deep earthy browns. If you're in need of healing, let green be your mirror. Don't just wear it to engage with it. Let it wash over your field. Let it become part of your meditation, your breath, your internal world. Color is a technology of the soul, and most people are walking through life with the lights turned off. As your awareness sharpens, you'll start to notice something strange. Color begins to respond to you. You'll walk into a space and suddenly feel like the entire environment is tuned to your inner frequency. You'll notice how the colors shift in your dreams depending on your emotional state. You'll begin to sense which people carry colors that harmonize with you and which ones don't. This isn't imagination. This is resonance. You're beginning to vibrate in alignment with your true self, and in that state, reality starts to reorganize around you. Not because the world is changing, but because your lens is clearing. And through that lens, color reveals its intelligence. In ancient esoteric schools, advanced students were taught to see beyond pigmento, perceive the auric layer of objects, environments, and people. They weren't hallucinating. They had simply reactivated an ability long suppressed, energetic sight. With training, color becomes more than a surface, it becomes a field. Something you feel with your whole being, not just your eyes. And this field, it holds memory. Every color you encounter carries the residue of intention. A red wall in a sacred temple does not vibrate the same as red on a stop sign. One was charged with devotion, the other with control. Same wavelength, different encoding. So when you move through the world, you're not just seeing red, you're encountering the story within the red, the history, the purpose, the embedded energy. You begin to discern what is aligned and what is artificial, what opens your system and what shuts it down. Color stops being decoration. It becomes data. It becomes signal. And once that switch flips inside you, you can no longer go back to seeing the world as ordinary because you've tasted its code. You've heard the light. And from that point forward, everything becomes a conversation. The tree isn't just green, it's pulsing with renewal. The sunset isn't just orangeates, a daily farewell from the cosmic heart. The violet in your dreams isn't random, it's an invitation. But invitations can be missed. Codes can go unread. So the question is, are you ready to answer? The moment you begin to perceive color not as decoration but as dialogue, a veil lifts. You realize this entire world is layered with messages. From the clothes people wear to the skies above cities to the colors pulsing behind your own eyelids in the dark, everything is coded. And the ones who learn to read that code, they live differently, they see differently. They don't just move through reality, they interact with it, like a musician in tune with every note of the symphony. This is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the forgetting, before language, before logic, back when you still understood that light had flavor, that blue could speak, that gold could embrace, that every hue wasn't just something you looked at, was something you knew. You're not broken, you're not blind, you've simply been taught not to listen. And now, you're remembering how. So take a breath, close your eyes, think back to the last time a color moved you, really moved you. What was it trying to say? What feeling did it unlock? What memory did it try to hand you? This isn't just information, it's activation. The next time you see a sudden flash of violet, or feel a pull toward an unfamiliar shade, pause. Don't dismiss it, don't explain it away. That moment is a doorway. That color is a signal, and if you lean in just enough, it might lead you somewhere you forgot existed. Now ask yourself, what color has been following you lately? Let me know in the comments, what have you been seeing that you can't explain?